Talking about Uttara Bhadra Nakshtra, ruled by Ahibudnya, the celestial serpent. It's where we go deep into the holes in our psyche so we can relax into the oneness of consciousness and awareness. So check it out. So Uttara Bhadra Nakshtra exists totally in Pisces, and it's literally like the last work and effort of the soul and our need for action in order to become liberated. The last nakshatra Revati is where we just need to surrender and let the shepherd guide us home. But in Uttara Bhadra, we have to go deep into our own mind and psyche through work, effort, facing the painful realities and the hardships in life. And this nakshatra is often where we feel where we really feel the pain of life. It's ruled again by a deity called Ahibudnya, who is evoked with Aja Ekapada, the deity of Purvabhadra. And this is called the celestial serpent, or the serpent of the deep. And it's related to the cosmic water and the need to go deep down into the hole, into the holes in our mind and awareness and heart. And anytime serpents are evoked, like this serpent Ahibudnya, there is that potential toxic quality. And this one has that potential toxicity to it, where we might especially get overwhelmed by toxic emotions and in many ways the sort of pain and sensitivity of how difficult life on earth is, and want to escape. This is the big problem with the nakshatras in Pisces and the sign of Pisces in general, is the escapist part, because Pisces is the sign where we realize that we're not of this earth. And so the planets in Pisces are literally, they're very sort of evolved in the sense of realizing that we're not from here. But that can also make us just want to escape into that realm without being grounded or understanding why we came here. Our physical body is here and our awareness is here. There's a part of us that is not of this earth. And we become aware of that in Pisces. So Purvabhadra is that first part of Pisces where the lightning strike of Aquarius that says, I thought I was going to save the world and now I realize I'm not even of the world, becomes the metaphysical awareness of Pisces that we're not of this world. But again, it's just a glimpse in Purvabhadra. In Uttara Bhadra, that glimpse becomes a commitment, a duty, a pressure to now make it happen, make it real, and go deep into the holes in our mind and psyche. You want to realize Purvabhadra was the lightning strike from heaven, and then Uttara Bhadra is going deep into the water. So imagine lightning strike coming down from heaven and hitting the earth and showing you, this is who I really am. It's just a glimpse. Uttara Bhadra, the second part of the scorching pear, the funeral cot where the ego goes to die, is the serpent of the deep. Now you need to go deeply into that, rather than just get all jacked up on the excitement of the glimpse. Now you need to go deeply into what all that implies, which means unraveling all of your karma, going into all of that painful emotion and painful psychology of all of that karma that has accumulated and led to this point. That's what Pisces really is. It's the accumulated karma from everything. This is why Pisces can tend to feel powerless in the midst of all of that, because what can we do? So we become aware of this in Pisces, and this is why we tend to want to just kind of not face it, because we realize that so much has come before. We're at the last stage and we almost feel powerless before all of the work that we feel that needs to be done. And again, the illusion here, and the reason we want to escape from the work is because of this illusion that we have something to do external to make it happen. Pisces is where we are actually empowered to surrender and let go. And go into that, and just relax into that true self. But that's the hardest thing you'll ever do, is surrender. It's always, well, what do I do? What do I do? And the answer is surrender. Well, how do I surrender? You just surrender. How do you do it? It's like saying, how do I give up? Well, you just give up. It is its own solution. And the hardest thing you'll ever do. Because now you need to trust in the cosmos and trust in the universe. And again, who is doing the trusting? If you still think you are a separate entity, that separate entity itself is the reason you can't trust, because you're still defending the illusion of separateness. So this is where the pathology of awareness, or the pathology of enlightenment, comes into bear. And in Pisces you start to see this, because really the only thing we can do is surrender. And in Uttara Bhadra we feel the pressure to really go down and figure it out. So when people have planets in Uttara Bhadra, whatever the planets, but particularly soulful planets like ruling planet, moon, sun, then they're going to just have the awareness that they're not of this earth, and they'll feel things very deeply, and they might tend to feel powerless and need to transform the potentially toxic nature of those emotions into something that's deep, and where they surrender to the serpent of the deep. Once they surrender, then that serpent, the poison of the serpent, is transformed into the elixir of the mind. So we have this soma in our mind, this divine bliss. This is why Pisces can just get drunk on divine bliss, or drunk on alcohol and drugs and escapism. They want to get drunk on something. And so this is one of the nakshatras where they need to be careful of that escapism, especially wanting to escape from the painful realities in Uttara Bhadra. The next nakshatra, Revati, they want to escape because it's just so beautiful. Many times in Uttara Bhadra they want to escape because it's so painful. And again, of course, realize this is purely sidereal zodiac. To think that these nakshatras in Pisces are in Aries, that section of sky, would just be really sort of crazy. So, Uttara Bhadrapada, ruled by Ahipunya, the celestial serpent, where we go deep into our emotional and psychic mind. Again, it's very symbolic, you can see, of meditation and spiritual practice and the need to do those things and the power to do it. And often when people have planets there, they have a lot of power to do this because they're trying to escape anyway from a lot of the pain of the world. So if they learn how to meditate, that's like great. So I can just find a nice happy space and go in my room and meditate. Many times Pisces people, once they learn how to meditate, they're great at it because they're already barely here. If planets are there, they're already barely here. And sometimes it's hard for them to stay connected. So this is the second part of the scorching pair, the Purva Bhadra, the Uttara Bhadra. This is where the soul is becoming liberated and where the ego is dying. The death of the ego on the funeral cot of the scorching pair, Purva Bhadra, Uttara Bhadra. So after Uttara Bhadra, the last nakshatra is Revati, which is ruled by the shepherd, where then we just need to surrender. After we do the work, and the work of Uttara Bhadra is the meditation, facing the pain and the stress of life, and how painful it is to be here and not be united with our own soul, and to see all the suffering in the world and how painful that is for the Pisces person. That's the work, is to face that, not run from it. Once the Uttara Bhadra faces it and learns to meditate and find that source that's not of this earth and instead is eternal, then it's very easy to just surrender into the Revati section of Pisces, where the shepherd just leads us home. So that'll be the next video.